Greetings, welcome to our North Highlands Foothill Farms Community Planning Advisory Council. Madam Clerk, I understand we have a quorum.
We do, and I can take a roll call, take the roll call now if you like.
Thank you.
Okay. Member Bauer?
Here.
Member Embley?
Here.
Member Harding Jenkins?
Present.
Member Semenenko? Member Ewell?
Here.
And Chair Barker?
Present.
And you do have a quorum.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, can you go ahead and read announcements? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, right away. This meeting is live streamed and temporarily closed to in-person public participation. The clerk's office is in the process of hosting hybrid public meetings that will provide board members and members of the public with the option to participate in the meeting, either in person or remotely. Thank you for your patience and support. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Please feel free to send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk, could you go ahead and read the item for tonight?
Yes, item number 1 is for Popeyes at North Watt Corridor. The location is 6849 Watt Avenue within the commercial mixed use district of the North Watt Special Planning Area in the North Highlands community. And the request is for a use permit to allow a drive-through with amplified sound within 300 feet of a residential zoning district. Special development permit to allow the following deviations from the North Watt SPA. Front building setback of 50 feet exceeding the 18-foot maximum. Build to line of 0%, which is less than the 70% minimum, and floor area ratio of 0.09, which is less than 0.65 minimum, and a design review to comply with the countywide design guidelines.
Okay. Do we have a presentation tonight?
Yes, we do, and thank you, David.
Yeah, good evening, members of the CPAC. This is David Ulrey with Planning. I'm the project planner for the Popeyes at North Watt Corridor project. If we could go to the next slide, please. So the project's located at 6849 Watt Avenue, approximately 455 feet north of the intersection of Watt and Elkhorn on the west side of Watt Avenue. And it's within the commercial mixed-use sub-district of the Elkhorn Commercial Core District of the North Watt Special Planning Area Ordinance. And the request, once again, is a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through with amplified sound within 300 feet of a residential zoning district, and a special development permit to allow a 50-foot front yard setback exceeding the 18-foot maximum specified by the North Watt SBA, as well as a build-to line of 0%, less than the 70% minimum, as well as a design review to determine consistency with the countywide design guidelines and North Watt SBA. Next slide, please. So the site is currently vacant. It was formerly occupied by an approximately 2,500 square foot commercial building that was demoed in 2008. And there is an existing T-Mobile monopole at the rear of the site, which is proposed to remain. Here we have the aerial of the site. Next slide, please. So here is the street imagery of the site. See that monopole in the background. Next slide, please. So a little bit more information on the North Watt Corridor SBA. I've listed the guiding principles here, but I'll kind of summarize. The intent is to revitalize Watt Avenue with a more dense, concentrated urban form. And it allows for residential above commercial, so mixed use, and also calls for bringing buildings closer to the street in a more walkable corridor. The the subject properties designation within the North Watt SPA is in the Elkhorn Commercial Core District, which is envisioned as the more urban center, kind of like a downtown for that area. And then the sub-district is commercial mixed use, which is intended to promote shopping and service, and once again allow for the mixed commercial and residential. Next slide, please. So here are the development standard deviation requests. So the non-residential floor area ratio, the requirement is 0.65. The proposed is 0.09. The front yard setback, the minimum is 0, the max is 18, and the proposal provides 50 feet. And the build-to line requirement, which I'll actually go over what this actually means here really quick for those who aren't familiar with this term, but basically the build-to line requirement is a percentage of the building that must meet the minimum setback. So in this case, it would be 70% of the building would have to be at a 0-foot setback, and the proposed is 0%. So next slide, please. Here we have the site plan. This did go to the Design Review Advisory Committee, and they recommended the addition of outdoor seating. The applicant has revised their site plan to include that. And next slide. Here's the landscape plan. It is important to note that the drive-through does meet all drive-through use standards, so lane width, stacking, those items. Next slide, please. Here we have the elevations. They've provided a mix of colors and materials and roof parapet heights. Next slide. And here we have the 3D perspectives. And next slide. And so with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm able to answer any questions. The applicant is also in attendance. I'm also happy to answer any questions on the North Watt SPA corridor as well.
Okay, thank you. So as far as for the board members here, any questions, concerns, or comments?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Member Harding Jenkins. Thank you so very much for this information and opportunity to expand and grow in our community. I wanted to ask, are you also the owner or connected to the other Popeyes location on 6631 Watt Avenue?
Yes, we are.
Give me an idea, because I was, when you were talking about it, that's what I thought it was, and then I checked the address and it isn't. How far away are these two restaurants from each other?
It's like oh, sorry, go ahead.
Ed, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
It's like it's literally down the street. It's like 0.2 miles, maybe like 0.3.
And then what's the plan for the current Popeyes that's already there at the 6631 Watt Avenue location?
Yeah, so we don't own the land of the Popeyes, so it probably will turn into something else. So it won't be a Popeyes anymore.
Got it. Okay, understood. And then I see that there is seating outside. But I'm not sure, does it include what are they called? Like umbrellas over the I see the chair, like the seating area, but I don't see like an umbrella or a fixture over to accommodate for some of the heat and the weather that may, you know Sacramento. So just
Right.
wondering if that's a part of the design to create some type of coverings or awnings. I'm not really sure what the correct term is.
Yes, very much so. There will be like umbrellas to keep away from the heat.
Thank you so much. And then my last piece, so you all are not in control, just so I'm clear. The current Popeyes that's there, you're not in control of what they do with that restaurant. So when this new development begins, it's going to be built from scratch, right? Because this land is currently vacant. So is there who determines what the current Popeyes does, if it remains or stays or what? How does that connect to this project, or does it not?
It does. It does not. Like I know we don't determine what happens to it. Um, it might get sold off, and it could. I know someone was interested in like perhaps like buying it and turning it into Dunkin' Donuts. That was the last thing I heard. Um, that's all I know for now.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and answers to the questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Member Yule. I do have one question regarding page 6 of the slides. If you can go into a little bit more on, you went into more detail on the build to line requirement. Can you go more into the non-residential floor area ratio and the front yard setback and explain those? And is that related to bringing this more into of the center of North Highlands on what you were talking about? And I'm
Yeah,
David.
this is David with planning. So a little bit of more information on what the non-residential floor area ratio means is that's basically in this context it's the lot coverage percentage. So the Northwod SPA is trying to get more dense development in this area and development that's more supportive of transit and that kind of a thing. So really that's the reasoning for that higher floor area ratio requirement. And then the front yard setbacks, once again, this is different from our standard zoning. This is the SPA or special planning area zoning that has that reduced setback from the right of way or the street. So really what this is showing is that 50 feet is exceeding the maximum 18-foot setback from the street. So it's pushed farther back from the street than would otherwise be required. Does that answer the question, or?
And what is the purpose of putting it 50 feet back? I know it's going in line with the SPA, but how does that make it more of a downtown center in a sense?
So I think for this conversation, what we're demonstrating is that that's making it less, because if you have the building up closer to the street, it's more of a downtown type environment. Right. It feels more walkable. And what's being proposed, and yeah, right.
So they're kind of going against the SPA in a sense by proposing it 50 feet back. And is there a reason for that in proposing it 50 feet back?
So I think it's just the nature of drive-throughs with the drive-through aisle kind of crossing adjacent to the landscaping and not dumping right out onto Watt, but bringing it back to the main driveway. And I'll turn it over to the applicant too to kind of go over what they've been through with the Department of Transportation on that. But there was an issue on the driveways.
Thank you.
Julio, are you on? Looks like we might have lost the applicant actually.
Okay, well then I'll go back to another question. I don't think I really wrapped my head around the non-residential floor area ratio. This is in terms of the floor area of the restaurant itself.
So it's the square footage of the proposed building as it relates to the entire parcel of land. So okay. Basically the intent of the higher floor area ratio is to have more of the lot covered, to have kind of a higher usage of space for office or commercial or restaurants or whatnot.
And so the ratio is proposed to be in terms of the the restaurant ratio to the lot ratio, they're proposing to reduce the size of the restaurant in relation to the parcel.
Correct, the area of the parcel. Mm-hmm.
And is that, do you know the answer as to why they're doing that? Maybe for parking or?
So this was a conversation we had with them, and I think for them, their intent to use the property is just for the drive-through restaurant, and that was what they brought forward to us. Staff did explain that in order to be consistent with this, they'd probably have to have another use on the site or the residential above, that kind of a thing. So the applicant had decided to move forward with the project as proposed and bring it to the community and really see where they got.
So they're only intending to do this as a drive-through, not as an eat-in restaurant?
No, they're still proposing a eat-in restaurant, but in order to achieve the floor area ratios, they would have to have a larger area. So they'd have to have either a significantly larger restaurant or have another use on the site.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Hi, this is LaShonda. So I have a question. When a use permit to allow drive-through, so the sound, amplified sound, like, can you explain that part? Because my concern is that are we going closer to residential where that there's going to be a sound issue, or was that
That's not foreseen.
Oh.
The nearest residential is across Watt. It's I think it's Norton Terrace Apartments.
That's right.
But yeah, that's not foreseen. Our zoning code does require this though to look at the sound. And in our review, it's consistent with the noise maximums of what is permitted under the general plan noise element.
Okay.
So there's not really significant concerns there at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a way that they can maybe angle a speaker down or, make modifications to the drive-through speaker to reduce that noise just in case there is an issue with the residential area?
I would defer to the applicant for that.
I just want to share though, with all of the members on, this is just like a McDonald's drive-through, a Taco Bell, like all of these other drive-throughs that have amplifying to take orders. It's not like it's blasting loud for a number of time. And Watt Avenue is already high traffic area, so it's not to say that this sound is going to be so loud. Again, then there's a Starbucks, I think, to the left of it. Like, there's a number of activity going on in that area. So I just want to share that I do not think just that whole noise how do you say amplifying?
Amplified, yeah.
I don't think it's to the point
it's
where
not really amplified. It's just a speaker box, really, is what we're meaning by that.
The people who drive up that hears it's not super loud. So I just want to remind everyone this is something that all of these other restaurants and establishments have and that are utilizing. So just wanting to throw that out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just, as we keep going down, I mean, that area needs help in development, and yet, we still have a problem with homelessness and so in a way it's probably a good idea to fill the space, or else you'll have more tents, because we all have seen those in that area, people propping up their motorhome and tents. My other question was about the sidewalk. I'm not quite sure if there is sidewalk there, but I'm expecting that the county will add that, or can you confirm if there's sidewalk? And my
Yeah, so
concern was about sidewalk and safety,
they're going to be
pedestrian.
required to install the sidewalk per the standards for actually the North Walk Corridor Plan. So I believe that's 6 feet, but it could be more. But yeah, they would be required to install sidewalks with this application.
How far down? Is it just an immediate front area, or will it help to because that is a busy street and there's not very much, even I think like a crosswalk space, or how will the county help to support the safety for our community there, for pedestrian safety?
So I'm going to just pull up on my end here DOT's requirements for you guys, just so I can give you the exact language.
This is Lydia with the clerk of the board's office. I just wanted to let you know that the applicant is on board, and so if you're wishing to hear comments or anything from him or her, then they're available. So.
You know, this is David again. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I don't actually have those DOT conditions handy here, but we can provide that information to the CPAC post hearing if needed.
Okay. Any other questions since we have the applicant online?
Yes, my name is Ewan Embley, and I have a question for the applicant.
Thank
Yes,
you.
hi.
Hi, since there is a restaurant there on 6631 Watt Avenue, what is the reason for the move?
The reason for the move is because the current building that we are in right now, it is very old. It was developed in the late 70s, early 80s, and that is like the main reason. Like even like the concrete, they drive through is like all broken, and so we would just like to have a new development. That way, it's just so it can fix a lot of the problems that we have internal with the building.
Okay, just start from scratch instead of putting money, redoing it, I guess.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Now, let's just say hypothetically it gets approved and everything. How long will the bill, let's say it gets approved today, and how long will it take to be finished?
So this is,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, this is David from planning again, but this particular project is going to go to the Board of Supervisors because it is deviating from this the North Walk Corridor development standards. So that's a provision of that North Walk Corridor. So it will probably still be a little bit of time before it makes its way to final approval. So I just wanted to caveat that and then turn it over to the applicant for their construction schedule.
Yeah, it would probably take approximately like 4 to 5 months to build up.
Thank you.
And if I close it, the current one, close it like a month or two before, or just out of curiosity? Like, how will that overlap, if any?
I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
Yeah, I was just curious, will there be an overlap with the old Popeyes with the new Popeyes opening? Will they be both open at the same time, or will the old one be closed for a month or two prior to the new one being open?
Right, exactly. Like a month or two before the new one's opening.
I'm sure you'll have a great big line as a result of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment? Or, I'm sorry, anyone else from the board? If you have any additional questions, please go ahead, and then we can open it to public comment. Okay, let's go ahead with our public comment.
And there are no written or verbal public comments on this
Okay.
item.
Okay. Shall we take a vote? Yes. Madam Clerk, can you go ahead with our vote?
Yes, we'll need a motion.
Oh, sorry. Anyone?
I move to approve the adoption of this plan.
Is it Member Harding Jenkins?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll need a second on that motion or another motion.
I'll second that. It's Member Yule.
Thank you. And so we'll go ahead and take the roll call vote. Member Bauer,
Aye.
Embley,
Aye.
Member Harding Jenkins,
Aye.
Member Yule,
Aye.
and Chair Barker.
Aye.
And the motion passes. And if it pleases the chair, Member Barker, I can go ahead and announce the second item on the agenda.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. The item is under miscellaneous matters, and it's a staff update.
Yes, this is David from Planning. I have no staff update for the CPAC tonight.
Thank you, David. And item number 3 is council member comments.
This is Member Harding Jenkins. I know we talked about maybe a month or two ago at our last meeting about almost like a overview about planning, maybe some need to knows, a nice presentation or something just to get, I'll speak for myself being a new member on this board, a better understanding of kind of some logistics or terms or just,
Yes.
yeah, just an understanding would be phenomenal. So I don't know if there are any webinars or things that we can already start watching to get kind of familiar with, but I really would love to learn a little bit more. And then wondering, see, I hear Chair Barker and the need for housing and other development. So what do we as a board, like how do we promote that so that we get more people who are interested in developing different types of homes or a shelter or what do we need to do to make that, since it's a need, a demand in our community, make that something that we are talking about or having people present proposals about?
Thank you.
This is Alma from the clerk of the board's office. David, do you want to respond or do you want me to do it?
Alma, I'll let you go ahead and present it, please.
Okay, my best, and I think the best thing to do is advocate to your supervisor, the board of supervisors, for your district, for your area, because an SHRA is also a good place to advocate for your district and the area that you live in. Planning really doesn't have any control over what projects come forward or not. It depends on the developers and what is happening at that time. That's correct, right, David? You guys don't have any.
Right. Yeah. And I'll just kind of build on that. That's exactly correct. It's done. Planning really takes applications as they come in, and then we present them to the CPAC, and we process them and bring them forward to the hearing bodies. Our long-range planning does look at policies like the North Watt Special Planning Area is one of our policy documents that was calling for like more dense housing and that kind of a thing. But the problem is that we really don't have control over who kind of proposes a project and if somebody is going to propose a project. So we can build policies into our documents, but ultimately it kind of comes down to both SHRA, nonprofits, and the development community to bring forward projects.
And at this time, is there anything like coming our way related to housing from our supervisors or from any of those entities you mentioned?
So I think there is a application that's coming kind of to the Antelope community. So not immediately your community, but it's fairly close for multifamily housing, but I don't know the specifics of that yet. And I think they're in the early phases, but it's a west of Watt kind of multifamily development.
Thank you so much. I appreciate both of your responses and just information, direction, and kind of what steps to take. I appreciate it.
So, Madam Clerk, I was kind of in line with Member Harding. If my comment can be placed so that maybe one or more of our Board of Supervisors would recognize that a concern came out of this CPAC regarding the need for housing. If that is as much as we can do, is put it in the record that the CPAC would like our Board of Supervisors to pay attention to the unincorporated areas that we live in.
Of course.
And we will still follow up and contact our Board of Supervisors. And I understand that the planning, you work for us and you're only processing this information. But we are trying to ask that some way it trickles up to our Board of Supervisors, because and what I hear you're saying to us is that we need to contact them directly. And in addition, I'd ask that for the record, it be noted here that it came up as a concern and a need. And then everyone on the board take time, if you have, to send your supervisor an email.
And this is David with planning again. I just also wanted to bring up another effort that we've been working on related to housing. You may recall, I don't know how many of you guys were on the CPAC then, but a couple of months back, we brought forward a housing streamlining package to the CPAC for review. And so that's going to be going to a workshop at the Planning Commission in September, but it's looking at allowing different types of housing in various zones and trying to make it easier to build like the missing middle housing and streamlining multifamily. So that's something that the CPAC might be interested in, and we can definitely include you and get you that information on the date and when that meeting would be occurring.
Thank you.
And this is Lydia with the Clerk of the Board's office, and just in confirmation, Chair Barker, that everything that you have discussed this evening will be made a part of the record and is noted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Any other board members have a comment or a question? I wanted to make another one, but I wanted to give other people a chance first.
Thank you, Member Harding. No, sounds like no.
Okay, just wondering about I think it was answered last time, the process or the outreach and engagement process or strategy to inform community about CPAC meetings or topics or what's coming on our agenda. Is there a Facebook page, or is it just through like the newsletters when people sign up through the county's website?
Yes, there's no we don't have a Facebook page for any CPAC or we don't have public pages like that, like on those types of platforms for our CPACs or planning advisory councils or planning commission, or even board, the board members have separate pages. And as far as planning projects, as they come in and they're scheduled by the planning department, we place them on agendas and we send the legal notices out to the 500-foot radius of the project. And it is on the website, and whoever's also, we have the NeoGov where we send the notices when the agendas and action summaries and those types of things are posted to the web. And we have a kiosk here in our lobby area as well where we publish the agenda.
And I, as a member, when I receive the agenda and any of the meeting information that's sent to me, do I have the ability or the right or permission to just inform folks that I'm connected with through my social network, just to inform them of that, or is it confidential and they have to?
No, none of this is confidential. All of this is public information.
Right? Okay, so, but I can share like, hey, y'all, there's a CPAC meeting and this is on the agenda on my personal pages. Okay.
Of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, I believe we can go on to the next matter here.
Alrighty, and for item number 4, there are no public comments on this agenda, verbal or written.
All right. May I, any other concerns or comments before I guess we're at the end here. So, would anyone like to propose? I don't know the right word that I'm supposed to say right now, Madam Clerk.
Oh, but, that's okay. It is, it's, if there's nothing else, then you can feel free to adjourn at your leisure.
Oh, okay. I thought I had to get a motion for that. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so everyone, we will adjourn the meeting. Madam Clerk, I do have a question because for the board, there are some matters that I think we might want to discuss, and I know there's some rules on discussing these things outside of the board. Because we're not face to face, it just doesn't allow for the same atmosphere where, you know, once you end, we usually can kind of network or talk. Is there any idea when we'll go back to face, or any idea on how to create a forum where board members can at least get to know each other or discuss or talk? I mean, anything?
You should all have each other's contact information, and it's fine for you all to. The problem is if you gather together as a group, then that's considered a quorum, and then that would need noticing.
Right. That's why what I'm talking about is there's not a opportunity for camaraderie. So most of us, we don't know each other.
Right.
And so what usually happens when you meet face to face is after the meeting, on your way out the door, or when you're beginning or ending. So my question part is, face to face, will that happen anytime soon, or is there a time of possible face to face? And then the second would be, are there any opportunities where I guess that's a no, so don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, not the whole board. You can meet as long as there's not a quorum. So if there's 7 of you, 4 of you cannot get together. 3 can get together and talk amongst each other, but you can't, that's the dangerous part. You can't go from that meeting and go to meet with 2 other people and talk about the same things. That would be considered a serial meeting. So therefore you cannot do that. So it's really hard. I mean, if you all want to talk about things during council member comments, like about public things that you know about, events that are happening in your community, you are welcome to talk about those things during council member comments, because you're just reporting out on something that you know about that you want to share with the other members.
Okay,
so,
that makes sense.
Okay, so like I said, you can get to know each other. I mean, you can, meet, but it has to be 3 or less, and then you run the danger of, So you meet with these two members, and then you go meet with these other two members, and you talk about the same things. That could be considered a serial meeting.
Yeah. Just that in our conversation, like member Harding's discussion about the need of our community. I mean, I think that's, something, like even the safety of crosswalks down our streets and sidewalks and the speed and those concerns. Like I didn't feel like if it was okay to continue talking or bringing up my concerns, or talking more about the fact that the Board of Supervisors should recognize us in some kind of way, other than if, as far as us expressing the need to have more housing, or even shelter, emergency shelter in our area, and not knowing what the proper forum is. Can we invite one of our why? I don't know. I just think maybe they should show up and talk to us. And I don't know. The connection.
And that's fine. But you all are appointed members by the board member. So if you want your board member to talk to you or meet with you or come to me, then you need to make that. We will, of course, put it in the minutes or, whatever you're requesting as far as, or in the summary, as far as, board members requested, that the Board of Supervisors, I don't know the language I'm thinking of right now, but, about your concern about more housing in your neighborhood, safety, corridors, traffic, all of those things. And so we can put those in the summary, but in reality, the community planning advisory councils, the bylaws were changed in last year, and they're very specific about what can be placed on the agenda, which is planning projects. And so, and yes, of course, your comments, we can always incorporate them into the summary. But as far as, the board members attending, if you want your board member to attend, then you would need to contact them and ask them. I mean, that's what I would suggest. If I wanted my Board of Supervisors to attend from where I live, I would contact them. But you are all appointed members, so you have a direct, even the chief of staff. I mean, you had to get some kind of communication from them. So you're appointed by them. If you want to talk to them, then you would need to contact them and let them know that you want to have a meeting or you want to talk to them and you're concerned.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? I'm going to go ahead and exit out.
Quick, I'm sorry. This is Member Yule. In respect to what you were just talking about, is it a quorum if we are on a group email discussing the area and sidewalk? It is?
Yes.
Okay.
How many members do they have?
The reason that it's okay when we send you material is because all of that material is public information.
Gotcha.
Right. We have no way, if you're having a conversation between each other, we have no way to publish that or put that on attach that to a project or anything like that. We don't have a way to do that.
So there's a training that we'll get, hopefully they'll give us another. So I've been a part of Antelope CPAC, and so there's trainings that they send us through, which are very helpful, and it'll kind of explain why. And so there's these political reasons why. And so I understand, but the suggestion that was made is great. And so I just encourage everyone, if you can, contact if you have a concern about the housing or safety in our corridor, homelessness in our corridor, contact your Board of Supervisors directly. And with that, I think we're good to go. Thank you all for your time, county staff. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Farewell. Bye.